Alright, this video tutorial is for the Uglies project. It's a ceramics project. So what you'll see in the frame here is some objects and materials that you'll need. A covered workspace. You could use anything from paper to newspaper to a shower liner, anything like that to protect your space. Canvas would be great. Little boards, anything like that to protect your work surface, because this can get messy. This is a nice workable ball of clay, straight out of the bag. It's about 3 pounds maybe, so no, it's probably about 2, and that should be plenty adequate for a young child. Their hands will be much smaller than mine, so this would be plenty of clay to manage, and we'll break this into smaller bits here in a little bit. You also have a bowl of water, so that's just clear plain water, but it's black inside of the bowl there. You'll also want some little bone dry or leather hard pieces of clay that you can use to create slip. Okay, so what you'll do is first thing is place those into the water. I don't know if you'll be able to see what happens when it gets dropped in there, but that thing will dissolve. Those little pieces will dissolve. The finer these are broken up, the better job they'll do at dissolving quickly. And by the way, this is a great way to reclaim old clay that your students didn't use. Just break it up. The more dry it can get, the better and faster this dissolving process will happen. But you can just drop those in there. Okay, and we'll kind of let that work. We're going to need that for slip. That'll be for making slip, and the slip will be used to connect those pieces together. Okay, I'm just going to kind of move that out of the way for now, and we'll get to the first step in making an Uglies. The idea here is that you're taking a bit of clay. This is again about 2 pounds, so I'm going to remove some of that. If you give students a 2-pound hunk of clay, maybe they could take about half of it. No matter how big or small that piece of clay is, maybe they could take half of it or so and make a ball. If you need to teach them wedging, if this is a piece that's not from factory, not straight out of the bag, it will need to be wedged, as it'll have some air bubbles in it. Okay, so you can teach students how to do that. You'll learn that, of course, in your ceramics survey. So now that you have a nice ball of clay, you need to make a simple pinch pot. Very simple pinch pot with the ball in front of you and your thumb on top. You'll want to press an indentation into that clay. You'll want to also continue to press it out and out and out, letting your fingers work on the outside of the clay wall while your thumb enlarges the opening in the middle of the pinch pot. You'll remember this process, I'm sure, from your ceramics survey or from even earlier K through 12 art experiences. It's very simple. The idea here in the project is that you want to have students make something that's functional first. A functional type of ceramics. What you could introduce is terminology like utilitarianism, and in terms of functionality for ceramics. The thing they need to understand is that in order to make a functional ceramics piece, the wall has to be uniformly thick. If this were to be an object that would be used for sipping tea or milk or something like that, you would want to make sure that the lip of the pot is to an appropriate thickness, to where it feels good as you set it to your lips. Now, you wouldn't want to have students obviously try that, but they can imagine, when they can look at other cups that you might have on display in the classroom. Alright, so this process continues until you've got a uniformly thick wall of clay. And you can get students to raise their hand when they think they've got there. You can come by and do a little visual check for an informal assessment, just as students have capture the idea of utilitarianism. If they're not quite thick enough or thin enough or uniform enough, describe how they can change that vessel to make it more utilitarian. Give it the old sit on a table test. Does it lean off to one side? If it does, get students to make some adjustments to where it sits nice and level. They can make this as flat on the bottom as they want. Now, what you have up the ace you have up your sleeve as a teacher that they don't know is that this utilitarian ceramic vessel will be transformed into the mouth of an ugly, a creature of imagination. The opening, as you can see, can be squished. Okay, you could, if you envision this as a mouth, you could do a variety of things to try to get mouth-like shapes. You see a top lip developing there. You could do a variety of things to get this into a mouth shape. Whatever you wanted the students to be able to try to accomplish by making this mouth shape, they can draw it up to points. It doesn't have to be utilitarian anymore. Now it's going to sculptural ceramics. Okay? So any kind of shape the students want. They don't have to mess with anything on the back side at this moment. Just want to kind of get the profile of that opening to their liking. Okay? So they can set that down for a moment. Now with their extra pieces of clay, they do want to embellish the creature, the ugly. They want to make all of its other body parts, feet, legs, a tail. They can imagine from some of the literature that you use to engage their imaginations, things like Where the Wild Things Are, for example. Any kind of monster, alien books would be great for engaging the imagination. Students can do anything they want to embellish the body. They can make eyes, ears, noses, so on and so forth. Just remember that this is the mouth of their invented creature. So if you want students to make pads for feet, then they can make a little ball, 2 of them actually. This little ugly will have 2 feet. So I'm going to make 2 of these balls. I'm going to press them down so that they're slightly more accommodating to a vessel. And then I do want to go ahead and make sure to score and slip. So let's check our slip and see how it's looking. Alright, down inside there, if you can see that, there are some of these pieces of clay that have begun to dissolve. So now I've got some nice thin, very thin slip that's begun to work. And if I had had less water in the bowl, or if I had added more clay, I would have been able to have thicker slip. So you can adjust it one way or the other depending on the student's needs. You can smush those pieces of weather hard clay up if necessary to help them receive more of the water. Okay, anything that has a little bit of clay in it, to where the water is a little bit cloudy, can be used for slip. Okay, before the students slip, they need to score the piece. So they're going to use a fork to score the surface. So a little plastic fork can be used to score the surfaces that will be joined together. See? Just want to kind of rough up that surface and then rough up the other surface that will be joined together to it. Okay? So that means, since I want these to be feet for the bottom, I want to also score the place on the bottom that will be receiving those little feet pads. Okay? Both places. You'll remember this process well from your own ceramics experiences. Alright, so there's my slip. Put that slip in there. Get a little more as necessary. Just want to get it kind of liquidy and wet there's any kind of clay matter in that slip, certainly use it on those places. Okay, now got these feet ready to go, got the score area made, I've slipped them, so now I can add them on. You just want to tell students to press ever so slightly wherever is necessary in order to get the feet to stick. So whatever is being added just gets joined right to the ugly clay body. Make it smooth, they can leave it kind of cracked. That might be a kind of cool thing to emphasize, is texture of some kind. But you'll see now that those feet pads are joined right nice. You can use your fingers to replace or cover any process marks that you don't want to show. So the process continues this way with the extra clay that the students have, scoring and slipping each time they want to add something on. I trust you understand the drill now. We've got several examples of finished ugly sculptures on our Blackboard website that you can refer to for inspiration. Welcome to print those pictures off and use them to inspire your own students. I'm just going to put these eyes right up here on top. Okay, scoring. Now I'm slipping. Scoring and slipping. On this, you want to support the inside. Sometimes students will seem to make the wall of that utilitarian vessel, the pinch pot, a little too thin. So if you press too hard on the top without supporting from the inside, those will obviously kind of collapse under the new weight that you've applied to it. So something you can do is to ball up a little piece of newspaper or paper towel and set that inside so that it provides some additional support inside. This is particularly true when students start using the scoring and the slipping, and there's more and more water or slip applied. This becomes more and more supple and it doesn't want to hold its own weight very well. You can use tools to do any kind of surface manipulation that you might like. So provide a variety of tools for your students, things like toothpicks or popsicle sticks, anything that's safe. Now this is a issue that may arise in your classroom, is that these are solid clay balls here. They may have a greater chance of exploding if they get too large because they may have air bubbles inside. So make sure students, when they do solid stuff, keep it under a certain size, and or that before they add it they cut it in half, hollow it out, and then rejoin it together with scoring and slipping process. So that's really it. Have students go as long as they want. They can make some really cool things happen with texture on these. So actual texture might be a wonderful vocabulary term to bring into the discussion. If I wanted to try to give some hair-like marks to the ugly, I can do so with the tines of the fork, you see. So you could have some kind of ideas about ways to embellish the ugly. You could have certain requirements, 3 or 4 additions, 3 or 4 different textures. If you wanted to add something like a tongue in there, you can certainly do that. Quite easy. Again, just adding pieces as necessary and then making sure to score and slip, where those new pieces will be added onto the original. So I'll stop there, and hopefully you've gotten a good idea about the way that this works. A little score and a little slip. Good luck with your uglies. Hope that you have a great time with your students making this really fun project. And that students are engaging their imaginations in some way. That's new. All right.